Hello and welcome back to Learn IT Courses Online. We're glad you're joining us back in the Database Administration Introductory course. As we've mentioned before, that it all starts, the core of everything is the data itself, the table of the tables where we have it stored. And then the data administrator, of course, has to know their SQL, be able to design the database, security to make sure people have the right access, performance that we have the right speed of getting and connecting to our data. But today we're more interested to talk about troubleshooting. This session is on troubleshooting. Troubleshooting, when you're using your own computer, for instance, every so often the computer could freeze. Not only freeze, but the computer could actually crash and you would have to restart it or something to that effect. It's a little bit frustrating, but when it's your own personal computer, most of the time it's not a big issue. You can just go ahead and restart it. But when that server happens to have the database that runs the entire business, we cannot afford for it to freeze, not for 1 second. And we definitely cannot afford for it to shut down or restart. So we want to make sure that we deal with the issues as soon as they arise. And that is what troubleshooting is that whenever we have an issue, it could be classified by some form of criticality, what is very highly critical versus what's a lower priority. But then the second thing is for us to be able to isolate it. And this is where troubleshooting comes in. It's an art and it's also a science of being able to get to the solution, be able to understand why this incident happened, and also be able to use that to our advantage to make sure it doesn't happen in the future. I don't want my database to lock up, or I don't want my server to lock up or shut down or something to that effect. And then we could drill down to the different layers. So in troubleshooting, I'm always looking for any errors and alerts that might occur, any connectivity issues, any disaster recovery issues, any issues with the design that I designed my database, the architectural problems that could happen, both within the database itself or even infrastructure-wise. And then, of course, part of the database administration is the performance issues, and we've spoken about that a little bit, things that might cause blocks, for example, different people updating the certain tables or ETL processes that are doing that. We don't want to make sure, we want to avoid those kind of blocking or resource contention and other things that could be application design related and so on. Of course, as we mentioned earlier, on the database side, we do have things performance related, and also to kind of look at different things that are SQL related. So we can always go to through tools to our SQL Server Profiler, and that's an area that we could track overall performance of the database, of SQL and so on, and the different components that are related to the database. On a slightly deeper level, when it comes to troubleshooting, there's another area where we can look at for actual errors and warnings that occur, and that is within my SQL Server agent, I can go into alerts or error logs, and I can look based on the historical time. Usually it's something that happened recently, so I can go to the current log file, and in there I would see the component that I'm monitoring, in this case SQL Server agent, the scheduled jobs that are running there, and I can find either informational components, warnings, and if something is in red, then that's something that actually is broke that I need to tackle immediately. It also allows me to go into the database layer and look at SQL Server itself. And that way I can go in and track the different things that have happened there. A step further, which is not my primary as a database administrator issue, which is the server level, the NT level. And again, we can go in and we can see the different things. In some cases, we have information, we have warning, and then we have error messages, and those are the kind of things that we want to tackle immediately. So one thing we definitely want to look at is our error logs, and it allows us to see it on the different levels. On the agent level, so if a job failed, maybe the permissions changed there. On the database level, on SQL Server, on the NT level, more on the server level as well. So this is one area we definitely want to start looking at. Another route to get to that information is through management, SQL Server logs. And again, I can go in there and have a slightly different view where, again, I can kind of track that information. So troubleshooting is very important, being able to identify where the issue is, what's informational versus what's a warning. And then if it's an error message, then that's something that I definitely need to track down and understand why it's happening, especially if it's repeated. If it's something that's happened more than once, that's definitely something as a database administrator that we want to tackle. and go in and fix. Good luck with your endeavors in your database administration course. Thank you.